Hey there, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with us again this week on Todd-versations. We are really pumped that you're here with us. We love you guys. We appreciate all the feedback and the love and the hugs we get. It's amazing. We got a great show for you today. I'm very excited about my guests. I always love when the retailers come and give us a little bit of insight of what's going on. And this one is out there kicking some butt, taking some names out there in the world. And I'm really, really happy that he's here. Please give it up for the director of produce and floral at Tops Market, Jeff Cady. Welcome, my brother. Welcome.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you. I'm really excited to have you here and kind of talk about your journey a little bit, what's going on at Tops and some of the cool things. You know, I go back to Tops a long way back in my tenure, and it's a really cool chain. I want to get into all that and tell people why I think it's so special. But before we do that, let's tell everybody who you are a little bit. If you wouldn't mind, give me a little 411 on your journey and your bio and how I roped you into hanging out with me this afternoon.
Yeah, really. So it was a good career. Yeah, I mean, I started back in 1986. Walked into a Giant Eagle, and they said you're going to be in the produce department. Quite frankly, I didn't really have a grasp of what produce was. Sure, I've been in produce departments before. I didn't even know that's what they referred to them as. But ultimately, they hand me a knife and they say, "Here's some head lettuce, and start trimming." And so I started trimming head lettuce and wrapping it, and I just kind of worked my way through the system there at Giant Eagle back in Akron, Ohio. Right. And I think I just kept paying attention to people along the way, and just tried to learn what I could, and realized that this is a pretty cool business. And I just kept acquiring things along the way, skills, tools for the toolbox, however you want to say it. Yeah, and I just kept building, and so in 1990. I started with the chain of Finest, and that was in Akron, Ohio. Pick and Pay, for those that are sure some people, and when
school.
Tops and
what,
and
you
Tops
went old
and
school with Pick and Pay.
Yeah, Pick and Pay. Oh yeah. So fortunately, I was with the Finest piece. Not that I didn't like Pick and Pay, but they were a little smaller. The Finest I was in was like a superstore, huge store, and it was quite the buzz. It was doing a lot of produce business back in the day. And again, I don't know if I'm allowed to drop financials for you, but I remember us doing $80,000 in produce back in 1990. That is pretty good money today. So
that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So it was pretty busy. So so I did that, and Tops came on board. We merged in 96, and I kind of so I worked with them for a little while till 2002, when somebody came in and asked me if I wanted to move to Rochester, New York. And I said, as a produce specialist. So I was actually coming out of the stores, out of operations, which I'd spent, all my career. And I took over that role. And really since then, I just, kept taking positions. I did specialist thing for 6 or 8 years. Then they pulled me into the office. There's a lot of story with Tops and the need state of the company. And they pulled me in to kind of help them get them out of some difficult times in the office. And I just, kept on going.
Here we are. And now we're hanging out.
That's it. Now we're hanging out.
Now we're hanging out. I love it.
Yeah, now we're hanging out.
You have an interesting trajectory, because not everybody can say they kind of started in produce and, they're still going at it. I mean, it is, that one kind of that long one path journey, right? It just doesn't happen. And you're kind of a little bit of a unicorn in that way, which is super, super cool. So because you've been doing it for so long and you have this massive perspective, and you really do, because you were in the, literally storefront in the trenches every day, dealing with, all of that, to where you sit now, managing and overseeing, quite a large operation, right? Like we said earlier, it's like, it's not a 3-star chain anymore, right? It's a little different. So when you think back about, Jeff back in 1990 and that perspective you have to kind of today, what would you say you think the most significant change you've seen over your tenure? And that's a big, broad question. I know you may not.
It is a broad question. Yeah, it can go from having and managing 200 items to the tens or whatever thousands of items that are under the umbrella today, to how we merchandise. The merchandising obviously is not only it's changed back and changed again during that time, where it was bulked and packaged and bulked and packaged. So those things have changed. But I think, over the time, I think I think retail and produce, we've really found a way to broaden our horizons, provide a lot more answers for a lot more customers. So if you want romaine, there may be 20 ways. We figured out how to make it work in the department. We built linear feet. We figured a better way. We built a better mousetrap, so to speak.
Yeah.
And really, and tried to morph with the customers. And their needs today are so much different than what they were, right? I mean, they're so much different than what they were back in the 90s, where, convenience was the holy cow. I would generally bring it in and end up throwing it out, to be quite frank, where today it's the norm. You just sell it. So
yeah, convenience wasn't a big deal back then. I mean, it was, you came home and you chopped and you diced and you sliced and you sauteed and you cooked. It wasn't like that. But I think too, the evolution of our country and two parents working at home, one parent only at home, all these different factors has really changed the dynamic. I mean, America's grinding these days. That's a great word for it, I think. And it shows in the evolution of what I think the produce trade has done, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
And I think another thing too, I mean, and I know I talk about 200 items and maybe 10 or 12 renditions of romaine, but there's also the variety piece and a lot of the different items that are selling. We've really, I mean, bringing on just whatever obscure items it is, whether it's dragon fruit, whether it's Satsuma mandarins, whatever. There's all these different items that back in the 90s, it didn't have legs. It's just now we do. And it's great to be able to do that. So,
well, yeah, I mean, you had a red grape and you had a green grape. Yeah. Now you have a different, you've got a grape for every week of the year now. It seems like, I mean, it's just this, you're right. The evolution of taste, the evolution of technology to kind of help, plants be better and to bring better crops. I mean, it's amazing to see. That's why I love the question to you, because you've got such a great perspective, right? Because you started again back in the trenches to where you are now, in that day to day. When I think about tops and my experience with tops really came hold back in the all hold days and kind of some of that where I was really first involved and work with you guys. But the chain itself started back in 1962. So it's been around a while, it's been around the bush a little while. And you guys are in big cities, but you're really your backbone of the store, which is something I learned a little bit more about and kind of gave me I think a broader perspective too from my position, was that, you really were, in suburbia and in rural towns, in your marketplace. And, that's an interesting perspective. And so with your kind of that big overarching perspective that you have, what has that rural perspective taught you about what your customers want and what your customers need?
Thanks for joining the Todd-versation. And now, a word from our sponsor.
Hi, I'm Karen Nardozza, President and CEO of Moxie Marketing. On behalf of all the Moxers worldwide, thanks for listening to Todd-versations and Todd Bits. At Moxie, we're known for strategic marketing and PR, unique branding and packaging, award-winning web and graphic design, and trade show experiences that generate results. Whether you're selling B2B or B2C, a farmer, processor, commodity board, retailer, food service, or somewhere else on the supply chain, we make it easier to grow your brand and your business. From avocados to zucchini and petunias to protein, we help you tell your story, stand out, and achieve your goals. Get Moxie, and together we'll celebrate your success.
Well, I mean, quite frankly, that's what it taught me. It taught me every neighborhood is different, and it's my favorite. Those are my favorite stores. Those are my favorite stores where we go in and it's a village and there's a defined group of people. We are the go-to, and we go in there and we provide variety galore, at least out of the gate, right? And then you see what resonates with the consumer, and then you ask and you talk to people. What do you want? Because all we really want to do is just sell you what you want, right? That's the whole goal. The goal. And every neighborhood, and again, and not to be corny, but that's part of our vision, right? We're your neighborhood store, that has what you want, while saving you time and money. But the key word is having what you want, not what the folks. We're not cookie cutter. I'm not forcing. If okra doesn't sell at that store, I'm not wasting my linear footage on it. I am putting an item there that neighborhood wants. And there's other ones where I'm 4 and 5 foot wide on Southern cooking greens. That's great. Listen, that's fabulous. That's what that neighborhood wants, or they want patata and all that stuff. So those are my favorite stores. Nothing against the big blown out, internationals. No. Certainly they have their place, but I really love being that solution. And Tops really, we hung our hat on that. I think it's just, we really went in where you can't take big box retailers and you can't put it in there. And we serve a great purpose. So
I 100% agree with you. And I think that, what I first learned about your stores is you're a big deal in your community. You are a part, to your point, it's a village. You're a part of that community. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the outreach that you guys do as a corporate, as a company, that I think is just phenomenal. But yeah, you're right. You represent, the needs of your community in a lot of ways. And I think that's a really powerful thing that a lot of retailers nowadays may not necessarily recognize the impact that they have on a local basis. They all deal with it with this mega, plan of it's all in for all things, right? And I think that that's what sets you guys apart. And I think it's really what makes you guys so special is the fact that, to your point, each store is representative of their village and their community. And I think that's really special.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really do. What do you think, with that being said, and kind of going on this frame, obviously the last couple of years have been certainly, I guess, unique is a good word from the retail perspective. So what's the last couple of years taught you a little bit about retail that maybe you didn't know before?
Taught me about, the retail piece is that, we've learned customers will trade off. That's for sure. In a difficult situation if you don't have, red delicious apples and you have galas, or maybe that's not a great example, but I remember walking when I'm shopping, I'm going into, taco sauce, and maybe I want this one, but that one's there. I'm trading off. I learned that folks will trade off, and not that you always want to do that, but I think that was important. I think I've learned that down deep, the consumer, they do respect us. I think that over this was the best. I hate to say it's the best 2 years of retail, because again, it's only my little window of 30, 35 years, and not just the financial results, but I think the credibility it put back in to the stores, and realizing that this is a service that we provide, and it gave us it gave pride to the store teams to be able to do that. And so I don't know if that's like a true learning from it, but that's really what I figured. Did I learn that, I can sell more of this or more of that? Yeah, I did. But it's really about the people and the customers and the associates, that everybody has that extra gear. And I'll go back, and not to keep going, but and this supplier base, and I've said this in other interviews I've done, how everybody rose to the occasion all across our entire produce supply chain. And I've seen the other departments, and I'm telling you, no one did it better than produce. Now one department, and you can get testament to that, anybody. So I learned that produce is the best, but I already knew that.
You're biased. No, but you're 100% right. And to kind of follow up on what you talked about, something that I've been speaking about as well out publicly is about the fact that, this pandemic has given us a great opportunity for people to reinvent themselves when it comes to food at home. And you can see the data supports it, right? People are eating at home, that they have no choice, right? And they're eating differently, and they're eating a lot of ways, sometimes more healthier, adding more produce. The stats are all there. My big concern is and I've kind of run into this with you a little bit on keeping down this line of questions, is that, data also supports that as an economy gets weak, right? Produce has a tendency to drop off of people's lists. They has a tendency to not be as good. And one of my big concerns is that we've created this great opportunity of educating and touching people, and that if we don't lean into the fact that, the economy is what it's going to be, but if we don't lean into the fact of helping people recognize the importance of fruit and vegetables every day in their lives, and what a difference it makes to your immunity and all the other things that it does for you, we may lose that faster than we actually gained it because of the economy. So, what you said, I think, is really, really valid, that the learnings were really, really great that you came up with. But in the same token, we got to keep putting that pressure on the consumer to recognize they need to keep eating fruits and vegetables, because they'll run away from it in some ways. And that's not healthy for our country.
No, for sure. Agree 100%. No,
Yeah.
I do. I think that there's a lot of tactics that we're trying to keep or trying to employ to keep it going. And we're in we're a high-low retailer. We're highly promotional too. And again, I think that puts us in a pretty good spot, because we're able to, flash things in and out of ads and merchandising. So nothing becomes like furniture. We're always trying to change things up to give that customer, a fresh perspective, a fresh look at the department, and hopefully engaging that, that need to, or that want to go home and cook and try things that are different. And sure, you may be, financially challenged down the road or whatever the case may be. But, again, being in our particular position, we generally offer that, different items every week. And I think that's a value. I think that's a value to the
Absolutely.
consumer. Yeah.
Well, I think, look, prices, obviously a big factor because you're competing against, who knows how many people and how many markets, but it's also an incentive. And I think the conversation around that incentive, to your point of you're bringing these other choices, you're bringing alternatives that are going to hopefully touch somebody some way every week. And I think that's super important. And I'm glad to see that you're elevating that, because one of my big fears, and one of the things I lean into all the time, and I'm going to kind of run with you on this next question, is that I'm a firm believer, food waste is a big problem in our country, right? It's massive, and I throw this stat out all the time because I try to put it in perspective for people. But food waste in the United States is equivalent of every single American throwing away 650 small to medium-sized apples each, right? It's an astronomical number when you just put it into, that's simple terms. But I also recognize that, increasing consumption is certainly a great way to reduce food waste. So my question back to you is, with that statement being said, how does that resonate with you guys when you think about consumption, food waste, and all that? Are you guys working hard to try to increase, consumption in the stores?
Oh, for sure. For sure. Absolutely. That's something, that's front of mind with everybody on the team. It's why, for me, why, my first thing is, why would consumption be down? And I go to this example all the time. I think, we talk about produce. You go to a bag of Doritos, you open it up, every Dorito tastes the same. We've been challenged, in produce, right? Because everything's seasonal. It's not always the same, but, over the years, and this is something I think I failed to mention earlier that's changed, is seasonality has really kind of flattened, right? There's very few items you talk that are seasonal anymore. But anyways, the quality of the product that's rolling in is, and we put focus on what's coming in the door so that consumer, when they do eat it, that they come back and say, wow, that was a great experience. Because isn't that what it's about? How do you increase consumption? You give them a consistent, good experience. And I know that's what everybody in the supply chain is striving to do. But to me, that's the key. That's what we hang our hat on for the most part. Yeah.
I think it's great. I think you have to, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier about the fact that we know consumption's up through the last couple of years, but we also know the consumption will go down based on a downturn economy. So it's that balance of we gain 5, are we going to lose 10? How do we find that happy medium? And you're absolutely spot on. Experience, flavor, freshness, seasonality, but engagement too in the stores is so important. One of the things, you walk into your stores, what's going on in your stores. It's not like it's a mystery. It's not like you're walking into a dark hole trying to find a flashlight to find something. It's, you guys do a great job of merchandising and making people aware. And I think that's really important. It's certainly, in my opinion, is going to be much more important now over the next 12 months and maybe ever before, as things, evolve and change in our country.
Agreed.
Yeah. Very cool. One of the things that's out there today that I wanted to kind of touch on a little bit, that there's a lot of energy and a lot of money being put into ag technology today. You've got greenhouses, you've got food waste companies, you've got AI, you've got a bunch of really smart people that are, making big things happen with, a bunch of big brains, some of them still in garages, some of them big warehouses now, whatever it might be. But when you think about ag technology as a whole, what excites you today? I got a 2-part question I'm going to throw at you. What excites you today about ag technology? And the second part, which I'll bring back up again, is how do you manage it all, right? Because how many guys, and I don't mean to be mean, but how many guys are coming at you nonstop with all these new great ideas? And look, it's great. Don't get me wrong. I'm pro ag technology on most of it, not all of it, but most of it. So 2-part question. A, what do you think about it? And then how are you managing it?
So I think that it's a great thing. I think it's going to be a huge. I think it's a need. It's a need in the future. It definitely is. If we have to. Well, one, the greenhouse I love. I got to take food miles out of the equation. There's just too. As we can minimize food miles, it's only going to help out everybody. It solves a lot of problems. The ability to. The other things that come in. So greenhouses, I've got people, he said, there's so many people that do come at me, all the technology, whether it's in the warehouse and whether it's this container or whatever the case may be, there's always something. But I just think the biggest piece of it is, getting the food as close to home as possible. I like that part. You can talk ag tech, right? I start seeing, the picker going down the the fields picking strawberries and replacing the labor. Because I mean, again, it's all our problem. It's everybody in this industry's problem. And to see those type of technology, that's pretty cool. That's nothing I really have a huge influence on, but I certainly think that that's a good thing. I think we need to do something. I think the world's forced us to do something. All the things that were thrown at the growers and packers and stuff, they had to. So, but I'm big on greenhouse, but I think that we get hit with a lot. There's so many of them. There's so many versions.
Oh yeah, well, you have to. Again, I think it's all these people that are coming at you with all these ideas, and I think it's wonderful that you guys and others are investing in this because we need to. Who knows what solution comes from it, right? Just because somebody today's talking about a baseball, who knows, that turns into a golf ball next time, right? Because if advancements in what they're doing, I look at it as what I call a positive cost of food. That's something that we need to lean into. So I'm appreciative of the answer. And you're right. Food miles is a big deal. Where we're going to go, we got a lot of billions of people coming by 2050 that we're going to have to figure out how to feed. It's going to be a challenge to pull this off. And so, and the world's changing, right? We would love to get a little spit of rain out here in California. So, that's something that, no matter what anybody says, it's not raining, right? Yeah. No matter what you say, it's just like, I can tell you right now, it hasn't rained, right? And it's a big problem.
That's one thing. Like you said, you got to take Mother Nature kind of out of the equation a little bit. It's unfortunately, I like her as much as the next guy, but because it's sunny and 75 in Buffalo today. But yeah, normally it's not.
Well, you're right. And it's a part of like trying to figure out what's next and how we're going to do this and what if, so, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to see it. I'm sure that you get inundated. There's no two ways about it. I've talked to others. It's just like, you can't pay attention to it fast enough, but again, I'm glad that you've got an open mind to it and you're looking and you're talking and you're listening to these guys. That's really cool. Like to your point, we need it. It's going to be important without it, again.
One of the cool things, just to keep, to one more thing. So I've had some people approach me and I've actually partnered with a few on this to where they're trying to grow a better product, right? So they want to use us as a test store while they evolve this item. And they just need like maybe someone to move, whatever, this product in the meantime, while they get to this utopian product, whatever the case may be. I don't want to give away any of their tech, but they're asking me to move. And I'm like, yes, you can count on us. I want to be part of the solution. I know it's part of the solution. And so that's why we really, we embrace that. And that's the fun part when people come in with an idea. And I'm like, sure, I'll be a part. Why not?
Well, yeah. What's the downside? Look, I mean, at the end of the day, to my, I said earlier, who knows where it takes you? If you take a look at some of these ideas that started to where they've actually finished, it's pretty impressive. I mean, I think about, space technology today, how these guys are, shooting rockets and then they're landing. Like, from my house, I can, just sidebar story, just to think about the technology. From my house, I can watch the rockets take off from Vandenberg. I watched one take off during the evening hours, and then I watched the back part of it come back and land on the ground. I can see it all light up and drop. It's like, come on. It's awesome, right? And food is in the exact same thing. It's really quite cool. So with that being said, kind of, I know this is a 35,000 foot question, but I'll throw it at you anyways. What's new out there that you think folks need to pay attention to, whether it's ag tech or whether it's varietal? I mean, it's a big, broad question. You can go with it anywhere you want, but I find it interesting because I like to see what's cooking, what you think is cool out there.
What I think is cool is greenhouse fruit. That's what I think. If you start talking about, you're talking about that, I think that it's great with the lettuces. I love all the vertical. I love it all. But knowing what really drives the dollars in the department and what really is the headache is generally not the lettuces nearly as much as it is the fruit. So you get me fruit greenhouse grown 50 miles from my place, I'm excited. I think you need to pay attention because that's happening. I know it's happening because I buy it from folks now. Yeah,
I agree.
That's where I think it's going to go. So
yeah, I do too. I agree with you 100%. I think fruit's the most interesting thing in a lot of ways in the greenhouse space today, and what that's going to turn into. You can see the investment dollars, what some of the folks are doing. There's people from the Netherlands over here doing stuff. There's cherries under glass these days. There's a lot of different things happening out there. And, to your point, it's 50 miles away. It's here. It's, it's in the stores. It's quick. And again, and it all leads back to what you said, which I think is a really powerful statement. It's about the experience that you're giving back to your consumer. And it's about the fact that we need to keep people engaged with good quality, good flavor, good value, all of that to increase consumption, keep people healthy, and to make a difference in our planet overall. I mean, it's a win-win all the way around.
Agreed. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that you personally, I think, you're pretty involved in the industry. You're definitely, everybody kind of knows who you are. You're out there, you serve, you give back to to the industry, which is super important to do. I'm a huge believer in that. Mentoring is a big thing that I believe in. I think it's really important. And mentoring is just as easy as being somebody's friend, communicating, sharing, giving your ideas, being available to listen. Those are all important things, especially with young people today, right? Trying to find their way or trying to find maybe some advice or trying to make decisions for themselves throughout their career. So I know that that's an important part to you. When you think about that and the word mentoring and stuff along that line, who's influenced you out there? Who's been somebody that's lifted you up a little bit and has made a difference for you in your career?
Well, if you're looking for name drop, I mean, I can name drop, yeah, because there's a name that comes to mind, yeah. So
if it gets you, hey, name drop if it gets you something on the backside, you know what I'm saying?
Well, it doesn't,
something.
We're friends and partners today, but again, back in 2010, I actually applied for the director of produce role back then. I was a category manager at that point, right, or one of those things. And unfortunately, unfortunately, I say, but fortunately, the company went in another direction. And they brought in this individual, his name is Steve Wright. And he right now he's at he was Shenandoah. It's called Solely Organics now. Anyway,
Solely now, yeah.
Yeah, Solely. So Steve Wright comes in here, and he just taught me so much about the things I didn't know, the side of the business I didn't know. He was really good with he knew all the vendor community. He knew the warehouse inner workings, those type of things. And where I was really retail focused at that point, yes, I had some knowledge, but I did not have near the knowledge. He really put a lot of cool tools in my toolbox that helped carry me on. And when he exited the company to go on to Solely in 2014, he left me in good shape, and he made sure I was taken care of by the team here at Tops. And yeah, so if I were to say, he would be the name. But again, there's a ton of people along the way, both good and bad. And I'm sure we all can say that. Some people I say, I'm not going to do that. That's how that guy do. I'm not doing that. But he's the name that really, put the finishing touches and helped me.
I love that. Yeah, well, no, you're right. There's names that are good, and there's names, to your point, that you're not going to lose. But but I think what's good is that you recognize the ones that you didn't want to. But that's a part of your path too. That point of reflection, that point of like, are you going to take that step that way or take the step this way, right? That right. Builds you up as a character too, which also teaches you how to mentor back as well, because now you have a bit of balance. You can recognize that balance, right? So I think that's really cool. Yeah, that's a great story. Thank you for sharing that with us. I want to talk a little bit about Tops, because I think you guys are a really, really cool chain. And I think that you're a really cool chain corporately. And there's a couple initiatives that you guys do that I think is really powerful. And I just want to touch on, because I don't think people probably know that they exist, and maybe they do, maybe they don't, but I think they're worthy of the time that we have together to bring them up. And you've got one program called Neighbors Helping Neighbors, which is, basically consists of community, environment, people, practice, and then your partners. And it's everything from, you guys have given out over 58 million meals. You've awarded 22,000 plus scholarships to Tops folks, as well as partnering now with over 200 local growers and vendors and stuff along those lines. So my question to you, and it's a powerful program. It speaks volume about what you all believe in. And so how does a type of a program like that, and what I like to call it, I think a program of responsibility is really a good word for it, right? Because you're being responsible, influence your team. And secondly, how does it influence, you think, your corporate culture to get involved in something, so important as what you guys are doing?
Thanks for joining the Todd-versation. And now, a word from our sponsor.
Hi, I'm Karen Nardotza, President and CEO of Moxie Marketing. On behalf of all the Moxers worldwide, thanks for listening to Todd-versations and Todd Bits. At Moxie, we're known for strategic marketing and PR, unique branding and packaging, award-winning web and graphic design, and trade show experiences that generate results. Whether you're selling B2B or B2C, a farmer, processor, commodity board, retailer, food service, or somewhere else on the supply chain, we make it easier to grow your brand and your business. From avocados to zucchini and petunias to protein, we help you tell your story, stand out, and achieve your goals. Get Moxie, and together we'll celebrate your success.
Well, I'm going to answer the last part of that first, because you know it does start with culture, and it does. And when your focus, while business comes to you, again, we're here to be a good neighbor, a good community person. That's not just something we're doing to get dollars and cents. I mean, yes, it's part of it, but it is, you know, working together with the folks. And I think when you do all these great things corporately, and you know help out, you know, the hungry, and do all those things, and everybody in this building, I think all the stores, everybody's involved from head to toe in trying to help each other out, whether it's the local baseball team or it's the local mission down the street, whatever it is. It's the leadership here. And the amazing thing here about the leadership here is that you are familiar with all the changes that Tops Markets has gone through. Yeah. And yet that has not, it's stayed, but it continues to grow all the time. Despite all the changes, it still continues to be a huge focus and a huge part of our culture, and really helps set the stage for, you know, neighbors helping neighbors. And that goes back to us making sure we're giving people the right food in the store, what they want to buy. But we also want to buy from them, because that farmer down the street, listen, his family shops our stores. So, you know, when we came in here, that was one thing that I thought, you know, once, you know, Steve and I really were digging into, we're bringing in folks. We're gonna work with that farmer. He's gonna come in our back door, because maybe Sarah, Pennsylvania's farmer is a little bit different than the guy in Erie, PA. So we really try to get in those communities and just be part of the business. We're business partners. We're just not a business. So.
Right. I love it. That's why I want to bring this up. I think it's an incredibly powerful program, and, you know, and thank you for sharing that, because I think it does speak volumes to what this, you know, leaning into something like this, you fed 58 million meals, right? But you fed every employee countlessly by the efforts that you guys have put out. And that's big for the brand, because that translates back to your customer experience for sure. You know, another one that you guys have, which I think is cool, and is the Tops in Education program. I mean, literally by shopping at Tops, you know, you can work to help fund programs at schools of your choice. You sign up, you shop. It's not really hard to do, but it's incredibly impactful to the community. Can you touch a little bit about how that's impacted the communities? Because I think it's a powerful, powerful program.
Yeah, I mean, I think to your point, I mean, first off, right, it's easy to do. It literally takes 3 minutes to set up, and to be able to, you know, all you got to do is come in and buy, you know, whatever Tops brands, our own brands, and we take a portion of that and give it to the school of your choice. It goes in. There's the dollars that the schools obviously need, that are, you know, they need above and beyond the budget, and it just helps make the kids in the neighborhoods that we serve, neighbors helping neighbors. It just feeds that core mission, that core, you know, that culture that we have. So it's a great program. Love the targeting piece of it. It's funny how it resonates. Sometimes you'll see something go down social media where someone will send it out, and then a bunch of the other, you know, families will jump on it, and they'll all sign up for their school to build it. So it does snowball, you know, from a kid. It ebbs and flows, obviously, through the course of the year. You know, maybe not so much in June and July when people are on vacations, but come September, people are thinking school around here. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it's back to what you said earlier. It's about the village, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's about that local store in that community that has a chance to rise above and do something together, unified, for what we all, you know, for their kids and for schools and for making a difference. You know, you shop today, you're making a difference tomorrow for a kid you don't even know. That's powerful. That's a powerful give back. So, and kind of think a little bit about, you know, where we've kind of gone in our conversation a little bit. Where do you see 2022 going for the rest of the year, retail wise? And you know, I know the online options are continuing to grow and things along those lines, but where do you see retail heading for the balance of the year?
You know, I think it will. I keep thinking it's going to level off. Listen, I've been saying that for 2 years. So when am I going to wake up, right? Because, you know, the sales keep rolling. So, you know, we're in the trend where, you know, obviously sales are up. I mean, and they're up, and inflation is part of it. Volume's keeping up pretty good, right? It's not quite up. We all know it. We all have the reports. Volume isn't quite there, but I think it's leveling off. I do think it's leveling off. I think a lot of what's driving inflation is leveling off. I mean, we could talk, yes, maybe diesel's more expensive today than it was last month, but we're in a different position in terms of drivers and all that stuff. So I don't see our cost going up as significantly, which means we won't have to take it up, right? I mean, again, we're all big people, right? We have to, pay for it. But I do think that I think sales are going to remain strong. I think that, I know restaurants are out there, and that was a big deal, right? About restaurants and food service opening, but now they've been open for a while, and we just keep churning along. All those good things that happened during COVID, unfortunately, where families are home cooking, all those things that we spoke about earlier, those all hold true today. I think people have a lot of faith in what they're doing at home and confidence, and they like it. They like their family maybe a little bit more than they did, maybe. And so I think sales are still going to be strong. I do. That's where I see 2022 going. There's issues with some crops and stuff, cherries and blah, blah, blah. That's
that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, I love it. That's great. Thank you for that perspective. So here's $100 questions out there now. I'm going to throw this to you. What's next for you? Because, let's get a little update, a little break. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. What's up with you?
Yeah. So me personally, last month it was put out there that I was named vice president of produce and floral for Northeast Shared Services, which will be handling the banners, our opcos of Tops, Price Chopper, Market 32, and Market Bistro. So my 2022/2023 just got a lot fuller, so to speak, in a hurry.
Congratulations. Well, congratulations first and foremost.
Yeah.
And,
thank you.
And enjoy working 7 days a week.
Yeah, that's funny, but that's one thing Steve taught me. Don't worry. No, I'm just kidding. He didn't teach me that. But no. So yeah, it's exciting, right? It's exciting. It's
a great accomplishment. Well deserved.
Yeah. Thank you. And I am. I'm grateful for the opportunity. I hope I can get out there and make a difference. I've been traveling back and forth over the past couple of months. Go out there, visit stores, talk to people. I'm really stoked by the passion and knowledge in those stores, and to know that our two opcos are so closely aligned that I think we can do great things and really make a huge difference here in the Northeast in grocery and food. Yeah, I'm excited.
I love it. That's really great. I think congratulations once again. That's exciting for the industry. It's exciting for the other brands. I think it's going to be a great addition. It's a great next step. I look forward to watching that. It's going to be fun. So my final question, you're going to probably hate me for it, but I'm going to ask it. Buffalo Bills, what's the deal? They ever going to win a Super Bowl? I mean, how much longer do you guys have to suffer?
Well,
I mean, it's cold in the winter. It's cold in the winter. You guys get, look, I love the Bills Mafia, but you can only jump on tables so many times. You got to get into a Super Bowl. You got to go January, February. You need to be in a warm climate playing for a Super Bowl.
I think the players would agree with that. I do. I think they like the snow too. I think they want some sunshine as well. So they're working in the right direction for sure. So I feel good. They got the new stadium, so that should be in the next couple of years. So hopefully we're in the Super Bowl 2 and 3 times before that. But for those who know me, I have to call this out. And while I love the Bills, they are fantastic for business here.
Absolutely.
It's blue cheese sales through the roof.
Love it.
I, unfortunately, or fortunately, I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. That's where I grew up. And we share the water, Lake Erie water. So I've got that going for me. So I'm a Browns fan. So I had to call that out. But yeah, I hope the Bills do well, except when they play us. And I think that's later this year. They play the Browns.
Yeah, no, totally get it. Well, you're in Buffalo. I had no choice, right? I mean, it's, I had to say something. But, and the fact that you're a Browns fan, you're kind of in the same boat as Buffalo. No offense. I mean,
except we've never been to a Super Bowl.
No, you haven't.
No.
But you know what? You're getting there. At least now you can beat the Pop Warner team. So I'm going to go ahead and say I don't care. I'll get the crappy emails. I don't care. They can send them to me. No, I love it. Yeah. That's awesome. And you're right. You got to love the blue cheese sales.
Yeah, for sure.
This is awesome, man. Thank you very much for hanging out with me today. I mean, this is ton of fun and great insight, great perspective. I think it's wonderful that people get a chance to kind of hear from you and from the heart and what's going on, and give them something to think about a little bit. I think we challenge people to think a little bit too about, what's out there, what's coming, what's next, what's important, what are conversations we need to have. So I really do appreciate you hanging out with me.
All right, my pleasure. I truly appreciate you having me, and I look forward to look forward to 2022 and what we can do to increase produce consumption. Right, we'll keep pushing it.
Good. Yeah, I'm all about it. You don't have to ask me twice to get on that bandwagon. I'll
No.
see you in July. I do believe. I think we're both moderating panel. We're on panel. We're doing something. We'll be out there.
That's right. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Cool. I look forward to it. Well, I really do, Jeff. Appreciate you being here and hanging out. And come back. Let's keep talking. Let's see what's next. We'll come back and give people an update, especially when you get in your new role. Once you figure out what it is, where you're at, and you take a breath of air, come see me.
All right, we'll do. Thanks, Todd.
I love
Appreciate it.
Absolutely my pleasure. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today. What a great conversation, right? What a great insight to what's going on at retail. Some different things make you think a little bit. You're a grower shipper. Take note. He gave you some good insight about what to be thinking about today and what's going on in the future. So I appreciate you being here. Like I say, go check us out on social media. That's where the cool kids are. That's where we hang out. And check us out on Todd-versations, Todd Bits. We're all over the place. We really appreciate you. Thank you very much for being here. And remember, go inspire somebody today. It's really important. Just go say hello to somebody. It's a source of inspiration. Make somebody's day by being nice. Thanks very much for being here. We'll see you soon. Take care.